Hello everybody and welcome to that JRPG show. This is your host Erick Landon RPG, and today I have the badass Hellfire Rpgs, a great reviewer, and believe it or not, he has been an influence of my channel. He does a series called Know the Facts for RPGs, and I kind of took a little bit of that idea to come up with my 10 things you didn't know about videos. So this is the man, this is the influence I've been telling you about. Hellfire Rpgs, how are you, man?
Hey, how you doing, Eric? And hello, everyone. Thanks for having me on the show, and thanks for the awesome intro. Yeah, I'm going really well.
That's awesome, man. So, today we're gonna be talking about Hellfire Rpgs history, about his YouTube channel. We're gonna do a top 5 on Suikoden girls. That's right. No rules here, all types of girls, even the pretty NPCs. They're just there for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's going to be hard.
We'll be talking about is having too many characters in RPGs a good or a bad thing? We're going to have to share our thoughts on that. So, Brent, your name is Brent, Hellfire Rpgs. So, who are you, man? I mean, what's the story behind Hellfire Rpgs? How did you come up with your channel?
Well, the channel name comes back from my first RPG I've ever played. Back in the day, Final Fantasy VIII, you know, when you summon Ifrit, it's Hellfire, so that's where the name's from. I've kind of used that alias in different things over the years. And just one day I was sitting on the couch thinking I should do a YouTube channel. And then pretty much that night I ordered an Elgato and started with Dragon Age 3, I think it was 2015, so about 6 years ago now. And just taking it from there, trying to get a video out every day.
So was the purpose of your channel just, share your passion for RPGs, or did you have a business in mind, or?
Yeah, that was it. I've been pretty much RPGs of all I've been playing since I've been a kid. So I used to write written reviews a bit on various websites, just user reviews. So I thought I might use some technical skills and try to do a little bit more with it.
Nice. But you went on and invested on the channel since the beginning. You bought an Elgato capture card, so you were planning to have some kind of quality content, right? Up there.
Yeah, I didn't really know what I was doing to start with, so Googled how to do it, and this Elgato thing popped up, so I got one of those. Googled cheap microphones to record with and got one of those snowballs. And when you go back and see your first videos, it's really, really cringeworthy. So, not sure how many people are happy with their first videos, but I think we've had this discussion before, actually.
Yeah, I also told you about mine. My first videos in English were like, oh my god, no, this is bad. But they're there. I mean, they're
it's
part of our
also
history.
good to see how far you've come, though.
Yeah, sure.
You look at it that way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's part of our history. They're there. It's who we are. I mean, it was what came before us, right?
Yeah,
who we are today.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you mentioned that the very first RPG you played in your life was Final Fantasy VIII.
Yep, that's the one.
Wow, how long?
Still
ago
one
was
of my
that?
favorite.
How long ago was that?
Oh, okay. I would have been about 11 or 12, which was just when it came out. So 1999, year 2000, something like that.
Nice. And so when you played this game, you were like, oh, what is this? Did you do some research on it? Because 1999, there was barely any internet available. So did you know that was a role-playing game, or?
Yeah, I had a friend who played a lot of Final Fantasy VII before that, and I watched him a few times. Never had a chance to play it. I thought it looked really cool with the chocobo races and just running around swinging a big sword. And Final Fantasy VIII came out, and I had a PlayStation, so probably got it for my birthday or something. And yeah, instantly addicted.
And it's your favorite RPG of all time?
Yeah, probably. Definitely some nostalgia there.
All
I'm
right.
actually listening to a really lengthy podcast right now that analyzes Final Fantasy VIII by another YouTuber. So it's really getting me back into it, and I want to play it again.
So would you say that Final Fantasy VIII was the RPG that got you into the genre, that really made you, want to play more and more of its kind?
Yep, definitely, no doubt.
Oh, is there a second RPG? Yeah, what was the first RPG you played after Final Fantasy VIII?
I think it was Suikoden 2.
Ah, amazing!
Still my two favorite, I think.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. What an amazing experience. I mean, you started off with two really good games, man. Yeah.
Definitely.
Final Fantasy VIII. Well, it's a very controversial title, right? Because back in the day, everybody loved it. It was highly praised, commercial success, blah blah blah. And all of a sudden, for the past few years, it's like everybody hates the game, right? Everybody started shitting on it. You know, nobody likes it anymore. So what the hell happened?
Yeah, definitely one way or the other. But I love it.
Yeah, me too. My only gripe with the game, I love the game too. You know, I always defend it whenever I get the chance, but I gotta admit that I was one of those guys that I abused the GF system. I didn't know what the hell was I doing, you know, all these menus and magic. I didn't know what I was doing, so all I did was abuse the GFs, and when I reached the final boss, well, they beat the crap out of me. And I grinded all my way to level 99, every single character, because I read in a walkthrough that you could grind your characters up to level 99 in a certain island. You know, I don't remember, it was a long time ago. So I did that.
Yeah, probably island closest to heaven or hell. I remember those places.
Yeah, and you know, it's like when I came, you know, back to fight the final boss, she beat the crap out of me again. And I was like, what? So I didn't know the enemies level up with you.
Yeah, and my story is really similar to you. I had no idea what I was doing with the junction system. Yeah. So I went through the whole game just using GFs with really weak characters. And then I think I got up to Sorceress Ada or something in the end of Disc 3 and absolutely creamed me. So I had to start again and actually learn how to play.
Wow. I restarted the game again, just like you, because I got to the point, what was the name of the dungeon? Lunatic Pandora, something like that? Or is that the name of the song? Well,
is it? Yeah, I don't know.
You fight Adele.
Yeah.
So I never beat her. So I had to restart the whole game because I couldn't get out of the dungeon and grind. I mean, you could grind in there, but there was no way to go out, recover, buy items. You know, I got stuck there, so I restarted the whole game. And all to meet this dreadful end at the final boss. You know, I never beat the game. I was so frustrated.
Oh, that's hilarious how we got stuck in the same spot because we didn't know how to play.
But anyway, yeah, I think it's a great game, great story, good characters, amazing soundtrack, and graphics.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, for its time, graphics were fucking badass, man.
Yeah, and those FMV sequences too. Anyway, still love them.
Yeah, don't you dare give us a lot of shit because we like this game, guys. I know it's become really infamous lately, but no.
Here come the comments.
I mean, come on, it's like people always love to pick on games like Final Fantasy VIII, and I'm always like, dude, how many RPGs have you played? You know, go to my channel and look up for the worst RPGs. You know, I have a lot of videos about that, and you'll see what's real shit, man. Yeah. Anyway, so, alright. The board is here. That means it's time for that JRPG show's top 5. So, Mr. Hellfire Rpgs and myself are huge, die-hard fans of Suikoden. In fact, Suikoden is my favorite video game series of all time. Is it yours too?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I knew it. So, we had to do a Suikoden-related top 5, and, well, what better way to come up with it than with the ladies? I mean, we were gonna do about characters, but I was like, I'm not really interested in talking about the guys. I mean, there are some really cool characters, like, I don't know, George Prime being among my favorites.
Yeah.
But, you know, I just thought it would be more interesting to talk about the ladies. Alright, so, you ready?
I am ready.
Alright, so I'm showing right now both our top 5s. Here we go. Alright, so, Jesus, you put Jean in number 1, man. What's up with that?
Hey, I've got reasoning for all of these. So, very, very hard to make this list, I think. But I'm happy with these 5. I'll set them in stone.
Yeah. Alright, so, would you like to start? From 5 to 1?
Yeah. Yep. So, I'll start with my 5th one. So when choosing these, it was hard because I didn't know whether to go for the story or power in battle or just because they look hot. So I went for a bit of everything. So I'll start with Valeria. Picked her because she's such a powerhouse character and because of her Falcon rune with the 3 times damage or whatever it does. Always select her instead of Kasumi in Suikoden 2. She's just like my go-to character, so she has to get a spot in there. Yep, number 4, Sierra, the vampire from Suikoden 2. I just really like her backstory. So, have you played Suikoden 1 and 2?
I have, and I was a huge fan. I put Sierra on my list too, and I was a huge fan of her from Suikoden 2. I love her character, and when I played Suikoden, I loved her even more.
Yeah, absolutely. Some good backstory there with the Blue Moon Village and her True Rune, and with Reen and Necklord. So, and she's just awesome. So she gets number 4 for me.
Yeah.
Okay, number 3, Nan. I know she can be a bit annoying, but I just love the dynamics between her and Rue and Joey and Pilika even. So don't think the game would have been the same without her. And she has some awesome moments in there. So you remember when Rue and Pilika and Nanami were waiting outside Muse, not knowing if Joey would return, and that music plays, and then Joey comes. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, I love Nanami too.
Moments like those. That's why she has to be in there, and what happened to her in Rock Axe as well.
Nanami is one of
significant moment.
She's a very unique character. I mean, she's a little bit annoying at the beginning, but she grows on you, man.
Yeah, couldn't have a top 5 without her.
Yeah.
All right, number 2, Cyleads. So she's hot, and I also love her story arc. Loads of twists and turns with her.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite moments is like involving her and what she does in the story.
Yeah, no spoilers, but yeah, I get what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah. I just love her character development, her arc, and awesome character. Okay, the number 1, the best female character in Suikoden. Are you ready? Jean. So, I think she's like, if somebody mentioned Suikoden to me, she's probably the first thing I'd think of. She's like such a staple of the series. She's in every single installment.
Yeah.
And she's really hot as well, obviously. But it's the mystery around her that I had to put her in for. So like, well, why does she never age? Why does she always come up in all the different games? It used to be a big part of looking up Suikoden trivia and discussion forums back in the 2000s. Had some awesome times just theorizing about her. So, excuse me. So she doesn't have a true rune. The dog Kuroko says she's not a human. That Suikoden 5 character with the sounds says she has multiple sounds coming from her, which is unique. So I don't know. It's all the mystery.
Yeah, I mean, she's such an intriguing character, isn't she? And
fun fact about her as well. Did you know do you know why they changed her hair to pink in Suikoden 5?
No, I don't.
Because she used to have silver or white hair, and they changed it so people didn't confuse her with the Felina family who have silver hair as well.
Oh.
So they changed her to pink.
Okay, I take it that's some kind of trivia that you read somewhere?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably, because I'm not sure the developers will confirm something like that. I mean, Murayama has always refused to explain anything about Jean.
Oh, I know. It's annoying.
But that's a good thing. I mean, I like that he doesn't explain anything about her. I love it. Alright, so I gotta be honest with you. I did consider Jean because of the exact same reasons, because she's just fan service, I know that, but she's so freaking sexualized and so sexy in all sense of the word. And also because she's just an intriguing character. You know nothing about her. You know a lot about all the characters, even some NPCs that are irrelevant to the story, but about Jean you barely know anything on every single entry. And she's there in all titles, including... I don't remember seeing her on Suikoden Tactics. Is she there too?
I've only played that one once, but I don't think so.
Okay, well, she's in all 5 main titles, and she's such an iconic character, like you said, just like Viii, right? She's there. I mean, whenever you think about Suikoden girls, I mean, Jean and Vicky are the ones that pop in your head immediately because they're there on every single entry.
Yeah.
All right, so my number 5, damn, you know, I struggled a hell of a lot. Like, you probably did too, because there's just a lot of great characters, female characters in these games. So I had to leave out my, I love Sarah. Sarah, she's one of the bad guys in Suikoden 3. Always hanging out with Luke. I love her, man. She was gonna be my number 5, so I just needed to mention that she's my honorable mention because I just love her to pieces, but it pisses me off that we never really learn who she is, like her background, her past. I mean, we do see a little bit, but I'm not gonna spoil anything. Just, you know, I wish we could have seen more of Sarah. That's why she didn't make it to my list. Alright, so I'll start. My number 5 is Lady Kika from Suikoden 4 and Suikoden Tactics. Remember, Suikoden Tactics is the first Suikoden I ever played, and years later I played Suikoden 4 and I saw her again in that game and I was like, oh yes, you know, she's just a badass character, beautiful, sexy, and no bullshit character, a great pirate leader, you know. If I was a girl, you know, I would look up to her, seriously. And I like how, you know, she doesn't get a lot of development in either game, but what little development we see on her is so impressive that she always keeps her cool in every situation, but we do see a vulnerable side to her, which I really liked. So Lady Kika, oh man, she should have been like a way more important character in those two games, but that's just my opinion. Number 4, I had to give it to my favorite strategist in the entire series, and that is Lucretia Mercedes.
Yeah, she was on my shortlist.
Oh man, I love her so much because she is one of those characters that the moment you meet her in Suikoden 5, you're like, is she really gonna be the strategist? I mean, she doesn't look at all the part, and she's so about, you know, she's so weird. She's in some kind of old-fashioned style, so unique, and she comes up with these amazing, intricate strategies in the game that you're like, oh my god, how can all of this came from this woman's head? You know, it's so impressive. I love her. She's my favorite strategist next to Shu from Suikoden 2. But that's a guy. Alright.
Yeah, she's one of my favorite too.
My number 3 is a character that, just like Sarah, I wish we could have seen more of her. And this is a character that involves heavy spoilers, so I'm not gonna explain much about her. Sorry about that, but out of respect for everybody who hasn't played the first Suikoden, I can't spoil the game. So my number 3 is Odessa Silverberg.
Oh, also on my shortlist.
Yeah, man, I just fell in love with her immediately. She's such a great leader. She led the resistance at the beginning, and you get to spend some time with her. And I was like, why isn't this character more fleshed out? I wish we could have seen more of her. But that's all I'm gonna say. Just, guys, if you play the game, you already know what I'm talking about, and if you haven't, just play the game and see for yourself. But I can't explain anything further because there's a huge spoiler in the game. And my number 2, of course, Sierra, Mccain, whatever. Sierra, you love her, I love her. You know, yes, she just had to be there. I mean, I love her so much. I mean, I'm a sucker for, you know, gothic vampires and the real vampires, not the bullshit that's nowadays there. But Sierra to me was like, she's so funny how she replies to the other characters, how she confronts them, and now her whole feud with Night Lord. What was this guy's name? Neglord, I mean. Neglord.
Neglord, yep.
Yeah. So it was also funny, you know, and all the events in Suikoden 2. And if you do yourself a favor, guys, and play Suikogaiden, they're fully fan translated. You can just download them and play them. They're very short visual novels with some decision making here and there, and you get to see a whole lot more of Sierra. And what was this? Nash, right, from Suikoden 3.
Yeah, Nash. He's probably my favorite male character.
Oh yeah, he's such a great character, man. I mean, he doesn't really stand out that much in Suikoden 3, but in Suikogaiden he steals the whole show. I mean, that's his game. Yeah. The two volumes.
Must play games.
And
go play it, guys.
If you really like Suikoden, I mean, after all, Suikogaiden is like the sequel to Suikoden 2. Sequel. It happens at the same time, but then it's a little bit of a sequel and then a prequel to Suikoden 3. So you understand a lot of things between two games. Yep. And my number 1, of course, it was predictable. Chris Lightfellow from Suikoden 3.
Chris, also on my shortlist.
She's
awesome.
She's not also my all-time favorite Suikoden character. She's also one of my all-time favorite RPG characters. One of my favorite female characters of all time of all video games, man. I love her so much. I love her development, her personality, how she goes from a stiff commander to question the system, to question authority. It just I look up to her a lot, and I just fell in love with her because she just proves that she can be beautiful and sexy as fuck without being sexualized. I love that.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, so let's do this, man. This is very tough because the only character we have in common is Sierra, so she obviously needs to be up there. However, she doesn't feel like I could put her at number 1. I don't care. I'm gonna fight for Chris, of course, but Sierra doesn't really feel like a number 1.
Maybe number 2.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Lady Kika probably is not gonna make it because no matter how much I love her, I wish we could have seen more. And I was struggling between Kika and Sarah, so I'm okay if Kika doesn't make it to the list. That hurts, but whatever.
I was gonna say that with Valeria. Kika also has a Falcon rune, so just for that, I can put Kika above Valeria. I'm fine with that, but maybe they both don't make it.
Hey, so I got a question for you. So which Valeria do you like the most? The one in Suikoden 1 or the one in Suikoden 2? I mean, it's the same character, but where did you like her more?
I've played Suikoden 2 a lot more, so Suikoden 2.
Suikoden 2, yeah, she's more grown up, more mature, less hot-headed.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Anyway, damn. This is tough, man. I think Jean needs to be there. She was gonna be my number. When I was building this list, I put Jean there, but then I was like, I'm just gonna go to this website that has all the characters, all the stars of Destiny and shit. And I saw Kika, and I was like, no way, I gotta put Kika instead, right? But I think Jean needs to be there, and high on the list because she is such an iconic character, of course. And she is the Suikoden mascot, dare I say, along with Viii.
Yeah, she is.
So she needs to be there, and she's your number 1. But Chris, man, damn.
I really like Chris. Maybe because it's been so long since I've played Suikoden 3. Definitely due for another playthrough. Maybe that's why she just didn't crack into the top 5 for me, but. Yeah, I can look. I'm happy having her up there. She's definitely a lot more developed and Jean. So I guess for that reason, we can put her there.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Yeah. So Chris makes it all the way to number 1. Let me just proudly put her up there. All right. Thanks, man. So you can have number 2.
Okay.
Jean?
I think why not Sierra number 2? Because we both agree on Sierra.
Oh, okay. She was my number 2 originally, but she's your number 4. So Sierra number 2?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. I'm not gonna argue.
Now can we put on the mascot at number 3, Jean?
Jean number 3. All right.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So that leaves us. Damn. You know what? I'm kind of. I love Odessa, but she's like Lucretia is such an important character, a key character in the game that I'm vouching more for Lucretia being on the final list than Odessa.
In terms of stories.
But then there's Nanami, and oh man, Nanami, I love Nanami. I gotta be honest with you, I like Sayalids, and she grows on you. At the beginning I was like, when is this freaking bitch gonna go away? And she keeps, returning to the party over and over and over again. And yes, she's not the best mage in the game, but she's one of the best. And
yeah.
So we're not gonna spoil anything because why I like Sayalids, why I liked her after a long time, involves the plot twist. So she's a really good character, but I gotta admit, I'm not exactly a fan of Sayalids. But how do you really feel about her? Do you think she needs to be on the list?
Oh, yeah, I would like her on the list.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, if I had if I had to choose one out of Psyllids and Nanami to really make a case for, you know, I could definitely go Nanami. The two could be interchangeable, second and third place for me. So, and what about you? So you'd want to put forward Lucretia.
I can make my case on Lucretia. I cannot make my case on Odessa for obvious reasons because she's barely in the game. And she's just in that one game, right?
Yeah. Okay. Then I can put forward Nanami. When I think about all those awesome moments she was in. And you like Nanami more than Psyllids, I'm assuming?
And you care for Nanami. I mean, after all, she's the lead girl in the game, right? And she's just... Man, I love her too, man. I love the combo with Ryu.
Yeah.
Such a funny combo.
Yeah, how she does absolutely nothing half the time.
And I like, one important thing about Nanami is that, and I think Murayama, they did this on purpose, is how... Do you remember how after almost every meeting with the big guys, the strategists, the politicians, the generals, whenever Ryu goes out, Nanami's waiting for him.
Yeah.
Like, she's there to remind him that Ryu is just a kid like her. And Ryu must probably be feeling overwhelmed, by being in this room with all these important characters, these big names, these big guys. And he's like...
Yeah, she's his rock.
Exactly. So, yeah. Alright, so Nanami, what, number 4?
Yeah.
Alright, Nanami number 4, of course. So that leaves Lucretia against Psyllids. Thankfully, they're both in the same game. And you know what's the best? They hate each other in the game.
Ooh, it's a face-off. All right.
Okay.
Well, I actually had Lucretia pushing into the top 5 as well, so can't say anything bad about her. So I'm happy putting her as number 5.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was gonna give Psyllids to you, but I'm like, I'm not really. If Valeria would be number 2, I could see Valeria, but Psyllids is like, damn. She's so hard to like at the beginning, but I like how whenever she's sleeping and somebody wakes her up, she goes like apeshit. She's so mad. But anyway.
Kind of like me.
Yeah. All right, Lucretia. So if you haven't played Suikoden 5, people, do yourselves a favor. Play it. I know it's hard to find. It's exclusive to the PlayStation 2, which is bullshit. God damn it, it needs support, a digital re-release on the PS4, PS5, anything. You can just emulate the game, right? I mean, come on. Anyway.
Yeah, there's ways to play it.
There's ways to play it. Alright, that's it. So, number 5, Lucretia Mercedes from Suikoden 5. Number 4, Nanami from Suikoden 2. Number 3, Jean from all Suikoden games. Number 2, Sierra from Suikoden 2 and Suikoden. And number 1, Chris Lightfellow from Suikoden 3. That's it. You guys can make your own top 10 in the comment section below or in the chat right now if you want to. Who are your favorite girls in the Suikoden series? Preferably important characters. I mean, don't put a freaking NPC in there. As long as they're Stars of Destiny or important characters, just put them there. And just to mention something, no spoilers, but Psyllids and Odessa, out of our lists, are not Stars of Destiny. That's all I'll say. Alright. So that's it, guys. So, Brent, what have you been playing lately?
Alright, so the last game I completed was Bravely Default 2. And I've just been going around versing some optional bosses just to wait until today when I'm going to start Monster Hunter Rise. Huge fan of the Monster Hunter series, I love the co-op play, so that's going to be my next game. What about yourself?
Wait a minute, Monster Hunter, you just said that they're very fun games when you play online co-op, right? But how do you feel about the offline single-player modes of those games?
I used to play... the first one I played was Monster Hunter Freedom on the PSP. And I played that for over 100 hours just solo on my own. You didn't have internet capabilities then, but you could use the local co-op with another PSP.
Yeah.
Did that a couple times.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. So even with Monster Hunter World, which was the last one that came out, I tried to do most of the starting missions on my own, and yeah, I like to play it on my own first, and then jump into online most of the time.
I see. You know, I'm not a fan of Monster Hunter because, well, I guess I'm a story guy. If the game doesn't have a story, even if it's a bad story, I don't know, it's just, they turn me off. In Monster Hunter, I played one, it was on the PSP. I did play the PSP version, but the first one I played was on the Wii, Monster Hunter 3.
Yep.
And I remember I spent like a couple of hours just customizing the character and reading the tutorials, and when I went towards my hunt, my first hunt, I was like, that's it? You know, there's no story, no party members, nothing, just me and my generic customizable character, and that's it. So yeah, I do see the fun in the games, especially co-op mode, but as role-playing games, you know, they don't really appeal to me, any of them. I played Monster Hunter Freedom and the second one on the PSP, Freedom 2, I believe, and I played Monster Hunter Generations on the 3D on the 3DS. That's my I don't want to say favorite because I don't really like the series, but it's the one that I enjoyed a little bit more than the others. I did put like, I don't know, 5 hours into that game, but eventually I came to the same wall, right? Like, where's my story? Where's my why should I care about this guy or about the monsters themselves? You know, not my type of game. But I do see the appeal for other people. And you know what's curious is that most people, I don't know if this is your case, most people that I've met that like Monster Hunter also like the Souls games. What about you?
Oh yeah, huge Souls fan.
I knew it.
They're spot on right there.
It's because they're, in a way, they're very similar, right? I mean, you don't hunt anything on the Souls, but there's barely any story. There's your customizable character, no party members, very challenging games. You can't just button mash your controller when it comes to Monster Hunter, so they're very technical games. Yeah,
you either love them or hate them, but the Soul series is one of my favorite series of all time, I think. So I think we're a bit different there, but...
Yeah, well, I'm not a Souls fan. I like Bloodborne, but the Soul series is like, nah.
Yeah, but you're right about Monster Hunter. There's that repetitive loop. Take down a monster, get the materials, stronger equipment, take on a stronger monster, and just keeps on going with not much else. The newer ones do have a bit more of a story, but again, like you said, you're not going to play the game for the story.
Did you play Monster Hunter Stories on the 3DS?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Well,
Did you?
Yeah, I did. It's a traditional style RPG. I think it's turn-based, and there's a story, there's character, but it's not that good of a story because it revolves around this kid. You know, it's a lot of cliches are there. So it's like, we finally got a Monster Hunter, a story-focused Monster Hunter, and you give us this, and it's like, this is a Monster Hunter game for kids, man. So I was like, but it's a good game. I mean, the gameplay mechanics are so fun. So that's a game I never finished it because I borrowed the game. I didn't borrow the game. It was more back when I had the store. I was a reseller. I had the store, video game store, and the game came in, right? But I was still putting the game for sale. It was there on the shelf, and awesome. I played the game for as much as I can until somebody bought the game, and that's it.
How dare they?
Yeah, but it's okay. I mean, I was enjoying the game, but to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed. I was hoping for a more serious, mature story, considering the nature of the Monster Hunter series. But anyway, I mean, it's a great game. Check it out if you can, man.
Yeah, the second one's actually coming out this year, so might give that one a go.
And, well, I don't really have an opinion on Bravely Default. I haven't played Bravely 2nd or Bravely Default 2. I only played the original. And it turned me a little bit off. I mean, at the beginning I was like, wow, this is amazing, right? It's a great game. But like many other people, I reached that part. You probably know which part I'm talking about. And I was like...
I actually haven't played any of the earlier Bravely games. It's my first experience. Yeah.
Oh, so you know what I'm talking about.
No idea what you're talking about.
Okay, well, I don't want to spoil the game for you. Let's just say you reach a point where, I mean, people know what I'm talking about. I mean, they know. Just play the game, man. I mean, it's a must play. I mean, it's a good game. You need to play it. It's very good.
I do want to go back and play it.
All right. So what have I been playing lately? I'm still in the same two games I mentioned during the last episode, which are Are No Search. Are No Search is the prequel to the Artonelico series, but it's its own story, its own characters, barely related to the Artonelico games. And I'm also still playing Atelier, Esca, and Logi on the Vita. But it's an Atelier game, and right now I'm giving more preference to Are No Search, and I want to focus on that game, and once I finish it, I'll probably continue with Esca and Logi. It's weird, I'm not really the biggest fan of those types of games, but I like them. They're relaxed games, because before those games I played a bunch of really hard strategy RPGs, and I kind of got burned out, so I needed something to relax, and these games are, well, they aren't extremely easy, but they're very easy compared to the ones I was playing before, right? So I'm relaxing on these games. Have you ever played any Atelier gaming?
Yep, I've played Maruru, Rorona, and Lydian Sue is the recent one I played last year.
Yeah, well, they're all connected.
So I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you probably didn't understand a few events on the games where, like, who are these characters? They act as if they know each other. Lydian Sue, I think, is the third one in the Mysterious Trilogy, I think it's the name. You need to play the originals on the PS2. Iris 1 and 2 specifically those two, because they're more traditional style. You play them and you're not gonna feel like you're playing an Atelier game, like a regular adventure RPG. Yeah, very good games.
Yeah, I heard those ones were good.
What about the Artonelico games of the series? Have you played them?
No, don't know much about them at all, so I can't really say too much.
They're like science fiction RPGs, but they have a lot of loot content. They're all about, everyone has this gameplay mechanic that revolves around diving inside the girl's subconsciousness and doing these really weird ass
sounds a bit creepy
mini visual novel elements games in there, and they're a bit crazy. I mean, they're very, very lewd, fan service, strong on the fan service area, and they're just very what's the word, I don't want to say perverted, no, like suggestive. Like these some of the conversations that characters have are like, come on, they're talking about sex and they're just disguising it. So, I mean, but they're very good games. I mean, they have impressive character development and impressive lore. I don't want to spoil the games for you, man, but how these characters live in these towers, and it's like thousands of years after the planet of Raziella died. Raziella is like the equivalent of Earth, planet Earth. So it's very interesting, to read about all the lore, all the background of these games. It's so impressive. That's what got me into them. Anyway, I do recommend them, but just don't expect them to be, I don't know, Suikoden level, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I've been playing lately. All right, so
nice.
Brent, we're going to talk about something very peculiar, and I do want to bring up something that led to this topic. It's because a few days ago, the topic we're going to talk about is it bad or good to have too many characters in RPGs? I mean, since you and I are both Suikoden fans and we like Fire Emblem and Chrono Cross, so we both we don't mind like having a lot of characters in RPGs, right?
Yeah.
But the reason I brought this up is because a few days ago I was watching a video from a YouTuber who was complaining about Chrono Cross. What's the name of this guy? Pete Dorr, I think. And his biggest gripe with the game was the fact that it had too many characters. And I was like, how is that a problem? Why don't you just choose the characters you like or the main characters and just beat the game and that's it? How can you just trash a game because it has too many characters? And I thought that was really fucking stupid. So I'm a Chrono Cross fanboy, and I got over a little bit on the defensive side. But then I reasoned and I said, okay, maybe the fact that it has too many characters is turning people off, because most of the characters in Chrono Cross are like a little bit generic and you don't know anything about them, so you don't get attached to them. Yeah. But then I thought, well, isn't Suikoden the same? And Suikoden has way more characters than Chrono Cross. So those Radiata stories, have you played Radiata stories?
Yeah, I have, years ago.
Yeah, so I mean, and people never complain about this game. Whenever people talk about Chrono Cross, the fact that it has too many characters immediately comes up. But that never comes up.
You know why? Because it's different to Chrono Trigger.
Oh, yeah. But that's another topic. We're not going to compare both games or... Nope. But the thing is that people criticize Chrono Cross because of that, but they never criticize Suikoden or Fire Emblem or Radiata Stories for that. And they have way more characters than Chrono Cross. So I was like, what the fuck? How can you criticize a game because it has too many characters? Then just... What? Do you see that as a problem?
Yeah, I'm with you. Some of my favorite games and series are the ones with the huge rosters, and I love it.
But does a game having too many characters hinder your progress or your enjoyment?
No, it works the opposite way. I love the options that you get in battle and like going out and meeting all different characters, and in most cases recruiting them. That's a lot of fun.
But let me put it this way. I mean, try putting yourself in somebody who doesn't like these types of games, and you're more traditional, you want your 4 to 6 characters party, that's it, you know, you only get 6 characters the entire game, so there's strong character development in each one of them, so you get attached to them. And then after playing a bunch of games like that, you jump into a game like Suikoden or Chrono Cross, and you get all these characters that most of them don't really matter to the story. How would you feel?
Depends. If it takes away from like the core main 5 or 6 characters, then I guess it could be a little bit of a problem. So I guess it depends on what they neglect to have all those extra characters in there.
Okay, so you will feel that maybe the developers just added these characters for no reason, like they serve no purpose to the story, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you do see both sides of the coin, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you see why.
Yeah, it's a valid argument.
Mm-hmm. So
if it does take away from in other areas, then yeah, definitely.
Sure. And you're a big fan of the Trails series, right? The Legend of Heroes.
Oh yeah, love it.
Okay, so one thing I want to point out: have you finished every single one of them? Yep, you did, right? All 4 of them, Trails of Cold Steel. Okay, so let's just focus on Cold Steel because it's the one saga that has the most characters. And the difference between those 4 games and Suikoden, Chrono Cross, blah blah blah, is that yes, the Cold Steel saga has a lot of characters, right? But you do get very well acquainted with all of them. I mean, you do see some development on each and every single one of them, their backgrounds, their past, who they are.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that somebody out there will probably say that, you know, hey, let's compare Chrono Cross or Suikoden to Trails of Cold Steel. I mean, in Suikoden and Chrono Cross, you get a lot of characters who are practically nobodies. I mean, they're just there. They get a small scene, 0 development, 0 attachment to them, and whereas in Cold Steel you get a lot of characters and you get to know each one of them really well.
Yeah.
So,
and that's partly because there's so many games in the series, and you know how your different arcs are focused on different characters. So when they come into the story in like Cold Steel, you already have like that knowledge about them, and they don't need to try to develop them anymore. So, which makes me wonder if you just jump into Cold Steel without playing the others. Do you think you'd feel that way, that these just are like pointless characters that have been added to the game? I don't know.
Maybe. Well, what I did was I played Trails in the Sky a long time ago, the first one, and then many years later I played the second one, and then I jumped to Cold Steel, the first one, and I played Cold Steel 1, 2, and 3. So when I played 3, I was like, I don't know who this Lloyd character is, or this, you know, Risha and whatever. So I, as soon as I finished Cold Steel 3, I jumped back to Zero no Kiseki and Ao no Kiseki, and then finally Cold Steel 4, and then Trails in the Sky the third. Oh, was it first? No, I played Trails in the Sky the third, and then at long last, the final one, which is Trails of Cold Steel 4. So, because I was already acquainted with the Trails in the Sky characters, I didn't feel that estranged when I played Cold Steel. But I felt that there was something missing there, which was Zero and the cross-build duology, right? So I felt like I needed, something was missing there. That's what happened. But the point is that you go back and play those games and you get acquainted to the characters. Whereas games like Suikoden and Chrono Cross, I mean, they don't have... I mean, Suikoden is a series and it's connected, but most of the characters who appear in one Suikoden do not appear in any other Suikoden. So there's no backstory on them. So it's not like you can just go back, like in the Trails games, and meet them and know them and get acquainted with them. So I don't think that's a problem. You know, I'm with you. I do like RPGs that have a lot of characters. The more the merrier, in my opinion. I love that. But I guess I can see why it can bother some people. But I just don't understand why it can be such a big deal for them. Like a deal breaker. Like, oh, it has too many characters? Fuck this game, I'm not going to play it. I hate it.
Yeah, you know? I think another criticism might be, just apart from the story, is sometimes if there's too many characters, you might have like little unique customization mechanics with them in battle. So, you know, they all might be kind of generic in terms of how you can build them up. And also when you have like 20, 30 characters and you want to switch them in and out of your party, it can be really fiddly, switching their equipment and magic and everything over. So that's something that's annoyed me a few times in some of these games.
Yeah, and let's not forget that in some Suikoden games, you do get the beginning of each game. I mean, later you can just switch in and out whichever character you want. But at the beginning of those games, you're like... Let's take Suikoden 2, for example. I mean, after what happens with Joey and Ryu and they get separated, Ryu gets sent on this mission with, what's the name of the wolf-type character? Gengen?
Yep.
That guy?
Yeah, the Kabod.
And the little doctor, Tuta, right?
Yeah.
So you go on a mission with them, and then when you come back, they leave your party, and they don't come back to your party until much later in the game. And you're like, so I trained them for nothing. Oh, yeah. So I guess I can understand why some people will be turned off by that. Chrono Cross is the same. I mean, depending on the route you choose, you do lose some characters you were training and you were trying to get acquainted with. Hey, I like how this guy fights. And then all of a sudden, you know, when you especially when you reach that plot twist, which I'm not gonna reveal, your whole party changes drastically, and you get totally different party members for a huge part of the game. And you're like, oh, really? So I didn't mind that. I thought it was an awesome idea. I love that, but I guess I can see why it turns people off. Especially a game like Chrono Cross, where this constant shift in your party, I mean, it's mandatory, right? Unlike in Suikoden, I mean, in Suikoden you reach an early point of the game and you can just have whatever you want. Whoever you recruit, you can just add them to your party. Sometimes some missions will have some mandatory party members, which might be a little bit annoying for some people.
It's very annoying in Suikoden 1, I found. The amount of times like Flick and Victor and other characters are forced into your party, even in the final dungeon. It just makes it really hard to experiment with the huge roster when you only have like 1 or 2 open slots some of the time. Yeah,
so that's my point. That's pretty much it. You know, I'm not against it. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I do believe that maybe the developers could be a little bit more careful with that, or give us more background on certain characters, or, you know, just whenever they're gonna force you. I mean, in Suikoden it's not that bad to force certain characters on you, because you have, in most of them, with the exception of Suikoden 4, these mandatory party members they only take 1 or 2 spots, so you still have the other 2 or 3 spots free to add whoever you want. And that's not the case in Chrono Cross. There's only 3 characters, and if 2 of them are mandatory, so you just live with 1 spot. So I get it. Yeah. So in conclusion, I mean, is it a bad thing having too many characters? Not for me, but I can see why it could turn some people off. What's your conclusion?
Yeah, totally depends on how it's done. I'll just mention 3 houses quickly. The Fire Emblem one.
We didn't talk about Fire Emblem.
Yeah, I just think this is an example of it being done exceptionally well, because you've got your 3 houses and the different class members in each of the houses, and depending on which class you choose, you'll be able to form bonds and be able to learn a lot more about the specific class. And those other characters from the other two classes, you'll see here and there a little bit, but you won't know too much about them until you play the game again and choose that class. So I think the way that they've done that is awesome, and it allows everybody to like have a bit of backstory and allows you to learn a lot about them.
Yeah, actually, you're right about that. And well, you've never played the original Fire Emblem games, right? From like the GameCube era and below that?
No.
Okay, so it's a little bit different. You don't get that much of a backstory with other characters like you do in Awakening or Fates, where you can have a lot of little conversations with them and bond with them, including Three Houses. In the previous Fire Emblem games, it wasn't like this. You just had to have a bunch of characters fighting side by side until a random conversation just came in, and you could just see more development and more background about certain characters.
Right.
Yeah, so that was a problem for some people. Like, why should I care about this guy? Because the first Fire Emblem games, everything prior Awakening had permadeath. So a lot of people were like, okay, this guy died, and why should I care? He just said two things in the entire game, and that's it. Because they missed those events, and they're missable. They're very easy to miss because you don't know which characters can have a certain relationship with other characters, which ones are going to start a conversation with who. So that was a problem that was partially fixed in everything after Awakening. So yeah, I get your point. Fire Emblem Three Houses is a great example of how a game with too many characters can still be awesome and not bother anyone, because you do get a backstory on everybody eventually.
Yep. And another thing that I love with having loads of party members is when a game requires you to use like multiple parties. So instead of using your main 4 or 6, you'd have to form 2 or 3 separate parties to achieve a certain goal.
I love
allows
that.
everybody to get used. So the best example of this, the Luca Blight fight, where you have to form your 3 parties of 6. The battle just feels so massive because of that, and everyone gets a go. So you don't just have to stick to 6 characters. You have to kind of think outside and pick some more, and I love that.
Yeah, sure, me too. So you mentioned that you did play Radiata Stories.
Yeah, a long time ago.
What's your opinion on the game?
I remember I really liked it. Can't remember too much about it. So didn't you have a choice at some point to take 2 paths, like light or dark or something, and then depending on that, you could have different characters join based on that choice? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's a point in the game, halfway through the game, where you get to choose to join the human side, which means staying in the city of Radiata and recruiting almost every single citizen in there. Or you can choose go to the non-human side and recruit almost every non-human character outside Radiata.
Yeah, so that's an interesting take on things. But you liked that game, right?
I love it to pieces. I think it's one of my probably not top 10 favorite RPGs on the PS2, but maybe number 11.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I love it to death. And well, the thing about that game is that there's only like 10 main characters, and all the others are just there, are just citizens or human or non-human citizens, and they don't really have a lot of story going on. I mean, they're kind of irrelevant to the story. So I think Radiata Stories is even a worse example on what people usually bitch about Chrono Cross. Like, if they don't like Chrono Cross, they're probably not going to like Radiata Stories. But the big difference is that in Radiata Stories, there's rarely a moment when you have party members imposed on you. There's rarely a moment where you have mandatory party members. So most of the time, you can just put in your party whoever you want. During the first hours, every party member is mandatory, but after a while, after like 5 or 6 hours, you can just put whoever you want in your party. So I guess it makes a world of a difference, right?
Yeah.
Radiator Story is such a great game. Hey, I wanna before
I need to replay it.
Yeah, you need to play it again. I mean, it's such an amazing game, and review it.
Yeah.
Hey, so are you
All right.
are you planning a Know the Facts video on Bravely Default 2?
Oh, wasn't planning it, but might see what I can dig up.
So what? Yeah, before we say our goodbyes, so what are your plans for the future with your channel? What are you planning on doing from now on?
I'm going to keep doing some reviews. I'll probably focus on try to get a lot of older RPGs in, like the PlayStation era, catch up on some of the awesome ones that I haven't had a chance to play yet. And I've been trying to pick a series every year to like play through. Like last year was a Trail series. Before that, I went with Breath of Fire. So this year, thinking maybe Wild Arms or what was the other one? Maybe start Persona from the start, because I haven't played 3 or 4 yet.
What about Ys?
Yeah, there's a lot of those games. Yeah, there's a lot of those I haven't played as well. So yeah, that's another option. You know, especially.
Yeah, if you really enjoy the Trail series, I strongly recommend the Dot Hack series. They're very similar in terms of characters, lore, background, blah blah blah. Very similar, and you're gonna play those games and you're gonna be like, this has a lot of Trails vibes, because there's very similar in a lot of things. I always say that the Dot Hack series are for Bandai Namco, what the Trail series is for Falcom.
Okay, big call. I've actually got the PlayStation 4 remasters of the GU. Was it a trilogy?
Yeah, it's a trilogy.
One or something like that?
It has one extra episode at the end, but it's like 6 hours. It's very short. Yeah, play it, man. It's very good, but the only way to play the original 4 games, which came before, which are prequels to the GU series, the trilogy, is to emulate them, because all of them, I mean, the first games are not that expensive, but Quarantine, the 4th game in the series, is crazy expensive. Yeah.
So which ones are better, do you think? Those 4 or the GU?
Oh, GU is far superior in every single way.
Okay. Yeah. I'll go with that then.
You can play them without playing the other ones, I guess, but you're gonna see a lot of things that won't make a lot of sense, and it's like playing Dot Hack GU first. It's like playing Cold Steel first. I mean, you kind of do need to play the other 4 games first to understand everything. Yeah,
to get the full appreciation. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And before we go, I just have one question, just to satisfy my curiosity. What prompts you to make the Know the Facts videos? Because you don't do a Know the Facts video for every single RPG you review, just a few select. I mean, what's the process of selection, or what's up with that? How do you choose them?
Okay, so usually the older games, like the PlayStation 1 era RPGs, have a lot more facts out there that I can find information on. So that's why I've usually gone with like PS1 RPGs for the Know the Facts. Like a lot of the newer RPGs. What have I tried recently? Oh, we'll take Bravely Default 2, for example. The game's new. I doubt I'd be able to find much like interesting things that people don't know about it. Whereas these PlayStation 1 games, there's been 20 plus years of information on the internet that I can look through. So that's pretty much it, based on what's out there.
And which
facts that are out there.
Which one has been your favorite of your own videos?
Okay, so like I said before, one of my favorite games, Final Fantasy VIII. I think I have there's some awesome facts with the Final Fantasy VIII series, and I think I've released 4 or 5 Know the Facts for that game, so I'd have to go with that.
All right, nice. All right, man. So, guys, this was Hellfire Rpgs. He's an awesome reviewer, quality content, honesty, passionate, and I'm gonna leave a link to his channel in the description below. Please have a look if you want to, and if you can, because honestly you're missing out on great content. Hellfire RPGs, Brent, it was a pleasure to have you here, buddy.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on, Eric.
No problem. So hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Yeah, definitely. Always up to chatting to a RPG fan like yourself.
And a Suikoden diehard fan like you.
Yeah, that too. And Trails. We've got a lot in common.
Yeah, we do. Alright guys, that's it. So this was that JRPG show. Thank you very much for watching, and I guess we'll see you next time.